You know, when we think about Pirlo, we see vision and creativity, maybe even a badass hair to go with his beard. I think we can all agree that he was the embodiment of a deep playmaker who has pretty much won it all. A World Cup, multiple Champions League and league titles, along with many personal accolades. That's how history remembers Andrea Pirlo. But many of us are too young to remember, or just simply don't know that he wasn't the deep playmaker that we know at the start of his career. In fact, he was more of a number 10, and at times, even a second striker. In his younger days, he was molded to be the next in the long line of number 10s such as Baggio, Totti and Del Piero. But just before his transfer to Milan, he was already discarded as an unfulfilled potential. It just seemed like it wasn't happening for him. But the question is, how did Pirlo reinvent himself from a reject into one of the most iconic playmakers? Well, stick around to find out, because we're gonna talk about a story of rejection and redemption. Right, so let's go back to the 2000 Olympic Games in Sydney. I remember watching Italy playing against the host, Australia. A strong Italy team that had Milan players like Gattuso, Ambrosini and Abbiati was struggling to get past Australia. Until the number 10 guy found himself one-on-one with the keeper and scored the only goal of the game in the 81st minute. And ever since then, I kept an eye on this guy. That number 10 guy was Andrea Pirlo, who at the time was loaned to Regina from Inter. He was having an amazing loan spell for them, and people talked about him being an heir to Roberto Baggio. A lot of you guys are too young to remember, but many moons ago, he was playing behind the two strikers rather than the deep playmaker that we know today. The young Pirlo had many of the qualities that we know him for. An amazing touch, ability to shield the ball from an opponent, and the vision to pick out the right man for a pass. But what was missing from his game was the pace and dynamism that was needed for a number 10 role. So he spent most of his time at Inter either on bench or on loan. Pirlo was on his way to become one of the many players who never made the step up from a young talent to a world-class player. Eventually, in summer 2001, he transferred to Milan, and for a brief moment, it looked like he's gonna get the chance to show his worth. But just within few days, the door closed on him again. And before we continue with our story about Andrea Pirlo, don't forget to leave a like or comment. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm, as a lot of time goes into making these videos. So, just as Pirlo had some hope for a chance in Milan, the club signed Rui Costa from Fiorentina. For those that are too young to remember, Rui Costa was one of the best number 10s in Europe, and certainly a clear choice ahead of Pirlo. So it wasn't a surprise when Pirlo was only used as a backup to Rui Costa in his first season in Milan. After the holidays, in the following pre-season, Ancelotti was mixing up his systems for a friendly game, and asked Pirlo to play in a deep playmaker role sitting in front of the defense. Although Pirlo at times played that role under Carlo Mazzone at Brescia, no one at Inter or Milan played in a system that allowed Pirlo to play in that position. Ancelotti saw something in the game that sparked his curiosity, and Pirlo was given another chance to start in that same role against Juventus in the annual preseason Trofeo Berlusconi. By the way, just on a side note, Trofeo Berlusconi was an annual friendly game that we played against Juventus each season, and it didn't really matter, unless of course you were the Milan management. Anyway, he delivered the kind of composed and classy performance that he's known for today. And it was only then that Ancelotti came up with his famous Christmas tree formation, which led us to win the Champions League and the Coppa Italia in 2003, with Pirlo playing behind Gattuso and Seedorf while Rui Costa kept his number 10 role. Had it not been for a pre-season experiment by Ancelotti, who knows what would have happened to Pirlo, or Milan for that matter. But through this, he transformed himself into one of the most iconic playmakers of our time. So, what do you think about Pirlo's journey? Personally, looking back to the game in the 2000 Sydney Olympics, I thought his playing style was similar to Cassano rather than the Pirlo that we know today, which is why this has been an interesting transformation for me. By the way, on a separate note, I just wanted to say that I read all your comments and it's been mostly positive. So I wanted to take the time to say a massive thank you to all of you for welcoming me into the Sempre Milan community. I'm Football Drawn, and I'll be making similar content for Sempre Milan. If you enjoyed this kind of content, well, let us know in the comment section below, but be nice to each other. Keep an eye on the Sempre Milan channel, because the guys are up to some amazing stuff. And for my non-Milan content, feel free to visit my channel in the description as well. Thanks for watching, and Forza Milan!